In Module 1, we learned that lists and libraries do many of the same things, so before you see how to create them, let's recap their differences. There are basically three major differences between lists and libraries. They are: lists have attachments, libraries do not. The files are directly in the library. Lists have only major versions. Libraries can have both minor and major versioning. And lists do not have checkout, check-in features, while libraries do have checkout, check-in features. So what exactly are lists and libraries, and how do they appear on the screen? Lists and libraries are no more than empty containers until you either upload, attach, or input information into them. The information can then be displayed in several ways. In this example, on the left, you can see how a page looks after you click on the calendar link in the quick launch. On the right, you can see how a page would look if the calendar was placed in a web part. As you can see, the advantage of using a web part is that other information can also be displayed on the page at the same time. The disadvantage is that the page could become cluttered if too many lists and libraries were displayed on a single page. In SharePoint, there are many different types of lists and libraries. In order to help you decide which one to use, SharePoint provides various templates. You learned about templates in Module 2, but let's look at the library and list templates in more detail. To get to the library and list templates, select More Options in the Site Actions menu. On the next page under Filter By, click on either Library or List, and the appropriate templates will appear. As you can see, there are 8 library templates. They are an Asset Library, Data Connection Library, Document Library, Form Library, Picture Library, Report Library, Slide Library, and a Wiki Library. Now let's look at the templates for lists. There are 14 list templates. Their names basically tell you what they are for. The ones used most often are Announcements, Calendar, Contacts, and Links. It's interesting to note that SharePoint considers a calendar a list. Of the 14 lists, the external list template is the only one not available for your use. So how do you know which template to choose? When viewing the list or library templates, clicking on a template gives a description of it on the right. This helps you determine the template that best serves your purpose. In this example, you can see that the Asset Library is intended to share, browse, and manage rich media assets like images, audio, and video files. Remember, once created, both lists and libraries are automatically put in the Quick Launch area. Now, let's see how to create libraries. Of the 8 different types of SharePoint libraries, a document library is the one used most often. To create a new document library, click on the New Document Library link in the Site Actions menu. This allows you to skip the template page. On the next screen, you will set the parameters for your document library. First, give it a name and a brief description. The description will appear at the top of the page just beneath the breadcrumb trail. Under Navigation, if you do not want to link to the library in the Quick Launch area, select No. Next, decide if you want a new document version created each time a file in the library is edited. Then, choose a document template. If you'll be uploading more than one type of document such as Excel, Word, or PowerPoint, select the Microsoft Word document. Click Create and a new document library will be generated and ready for you to upload documents into it. If you need additional document libraries, just repeat this process for each one. Once a document library is created, it appears in the Quick Launch area. You might have noticed that your collaboration site already includes a document library called Shared Documents. It was created as part of your homepage and is ready for your use. However, if you have many documents to share, it's recommended to organize them into several different document libraries instead of putting them all in the Shared Documents library. In this example, you can see that the Quick Launch on the left only has a Shared Document library. If you only have a few documents to share, this could be appropriate. However, if you are going to upload many documents, the Quick Launch on the right is a good example of making separate document libraries that will make your site more user-friendly. Remember, no one wants to scroll through page after page of documents trying to find the one they need. Note, if you want to reorganize your shared documents into different libraries, once you create the new libraries, you will need to re-upload any documents that were in the original Shared Documents library. Once that's completed, you can delete the Shared Documents library. Now, let's see how to create other types of libraries. To create a library other than a document library, The process is basically the same except for two additional steps. First, select the More Options link in the Site Actions menu. On the next screen, under Filter By, click on Library to view the library templates and select the template you wish to use. On the right, name your library so that it makes sense to your site users, and then click on Create or More Options. If you click on Create, the library will automatically be included in the Quick Launch area. Note, if you select More Options, you will be able to set additional parameters for your library. Once a library is created, you may want to set advanced versioning and checkout, check-in functionality for it. Versioning provides real value if you ever have a need to look at or restore an old version of a file, and checkout, check-in allows only one person to edit a file at a time. Let's see that process in more detail. Under the Site Actions menu, choose Site Settings. On the next screen, under the Site Administration section, click on Site Libraries and Lists. On the third screen, click on a library to customize it. In this example, we selected the School Plans library. Under General Settings, click on the Versioning Settings link. This link will also let you select the Checkout, Check-in functionality. On this screen, you can choose to require content approval, set how many versions to retain, and decide who can see the drafts or minor versions. At the bottom, you can require document checkout for editing. When you are finished with your selections, click OK. Note, if you are uploading a file to a library that requires files to be checked out before editing, the file is initially checked out to you. You will need to check the file in before other people can view and edit it. A pop-up screen will initially remind you to check it in. Also, not all libraries allow for versioning and checkout, check-in. Remember, setting major and minor versioning and checkout, check-in functionality can only be done after you create the library. Now that you know how to create libraries and activate the versioning and checkout functions, let's see some basics of using a document library.
Let's show you some library basics: adding, renaming, and deleting files. First on the agenda is adding files. In fact, let's upload files first. You upload files when you want to get files from your computer up into the library on the SharePoint site. There are a couple ways to upload, but the way I like to do it is I like to go to the Documents tab, and then if I click this arrow here, I have two choices: upload document or upload multiple documents. I'm going to start by uploading a single document here, and I'll click this sales strategy document here and click Open. Click OK. And there we go. We've uploaded our first file. Now let's upload a bunch of files. So again, we're on the Documents tab. We'll click the arrow and then click Upload Multiple Documents. Now you could drag and drop files here to this target location, but I'm going to browse instead. And I'll add a bunch of files here. Let's see, I'll add this spreadsheet. Hold down the Control key here and I'll select other files. I'll just get all these up here. Click Open and then OK. And SharePoint will then upload to the site. I'll click Done. And there we go. We have a bunch of files now uploaded to this library. Now there are other ways to upload, but those are the two main ways. You can also click this Add Document link here, and this essentially gives you the same experience. You can browse for a single file or click this link to upload multiple. So whether you choose Add Document or the Documents tab and this arrow is really up to you, whatever you prefer. Okay, let's cover how to rename a file. In SharePoint, the way you rename a file is this. You hover over the file you want to rename and then click Edit Properties. Now what is properties? It's simply information about the file, and one piece of information that a file has is its file name. So let's say we wanted to shorten this file name. We just wanted to call this Contoso Sales Goals. We can simply get rid of these words and then click Save. And there, our file's been renamed. Okay, one last basic task, and that is how to delete files. Very similar to renaming. You hover over the file, you click the arrow, and then you click Delete. SharePoint will warn you, are you sure you want to send the items to the recycle bin? Yes, we do. So we'll click OK. And there you go. Now what happens at that point is the file gets put into the recycle bin. So let's go there. And you'll see here's our file. It's in the site recycle bin. This is the place to go if you accidentally deleted the file and you wanted to recover it. And recovering it will just put it back into the library from which it came. To recover a file, you can select it and then click Restore Selection. Are you sure? Yes, we do want to restore this file, so we'll click OK. And then back in our library, we'll see that sales goals file's back. So that's deleting files and also restoring them, just in case you make a mistake and you didn't mean to delete a file. Now how about some quick tips on how to work with libraries more efficiently? The first tip we'll cover is a tip for editing files. If you know you need to do some substantial editing, you don't have to edit in the browser first. Instead, just hover over the file, click the arrow, and then click, in this case, Edit in Microsoft PowerPoint. Then of course you click OK, PowerPoint opens, and the file opens ready for you to edit it. And there's another way to do this too. You can also select the checkbox for that particular file and then click Edit Document, and the same thing will happen. Now here's a tip for deleting files more efficiently. We showed you earlier how to delete a file using this menu here, and you just clicked Delete. But here's another way. You can select the checkbox for a file and then click the Delete button here. Or if you have multiple files to delete, select their checkboxes and then click the Delete button. You can have a library configured to send you email when a file is added or changed. So for example, if I click this arrow here again, I'll see this Alert Me command available. And if I click this command, I can tell the library to alert me when this particular file has changed. So email alerts are another good reason for using a library versus a file share.
Now that you know how to create and use a library, let's discuss how to create and use lists. The process to create a list is almost identical to creating a library. First, select the More Options link in the Site Actions menu. On the next screen, under Filter By, click on List and select the desired template. On the right, name it and click on Create or More Options. Just like with libraries, lists are automatically displayed in the Quick Launch. On the More Options page, you can select No in the navigation field, and the list will not appear in the Quick Launch. You can also determine whether you want a new version of the list created each time a file in the list is edited. Once a list is created, it is just an empty container until you add or attach information to it. Note, if a library or list is not placed in the Quick Launch area, they are still accessible by going to the All Site Content link, but it's best to put them in the Quick Launch if they will be used often. Now that you know how to create a list, let's see how to use them.
So, what are lists? Well, we make lists every day to buy groceries, lists of chores that need to be done. And in a SharePoint team site, lists are very much like that, except that many people can interact with them. So, for example, here in the task list, we show different tasks that need to be done. Here's a task that somebody set up for Todd. He needs to schedule some client interviews. And the one below it is for Sean. He needs to confirm office space for visiting employees. But if you look a little closer at the structure of the overall list, you see how very much like a spreadsheet it actually is. You've got columns and you've got rows. And while this is all pretty straightforward, we should take a look at some other examples. So if you click on the Lists heading, you're actually taken to a list of all the lists that are currently available in your site. Let's take a look at the Announcements list. This Announcements list actually contains timely announcements of interest to people on the team. And notice that it has the same structure as the task list. It has the rows, and it has the columns for title and date modified. Now let's go back into our lists, and this time let's look at links. Now this is a links list that contains URLs that people have posted that they feel are important to the team. But here again, we find our rows and our columns for URL and notes. So we know, just by looking at this and the others, that they're SharePoint lists. Let's take a look at the calendar. Now we're being told by its location here under the list link that it too is a list. But when we go in, we notice that it doesn't resemble any of the other lists that we've been looking at. In fact, it looks just like, well, a calendar. But if we look at it from a different view, if we go up here to the Change View drop-down and we choose All Events, we get a listing of all the events inside the calendar laid out like a list. So again, here is our list structure with our rows and our columns for title, location, start time, and end time. So in reality, it would seem that the calendar is in fact a list as well. But that still doesn't really answer the question, what is a list? Well, a list in our team site is a collection of data that you can share with team members and other site users. And the structure of the list, with its columns and its rows, serve as the underlying structure for many things on the site, like the tasks, or the announcements, or the links, or even the calendar, where we discovered that the list lies in the background. When you're working with lists of items inside your team site, sometimes you need to be able to sort them or filter out the items you don't want to see, especially when your lists start getting long. So we're going to take a look at how easy it is here to filter and sort. Notice that as I move across the top of each of these columns, across their titles, I get a drop-down list. For every column, I get a drop-down list. In the drop-down list for each of these items is the ability to sort ascending or descending, or to filter with a summarized list. If I choose ascending, of course I'm going to be getting the oldest date, in this case on top. I know I'm sorting this column because I have a sort indicator over here to the right-hand side of the column name. If I click on the drop-down list and I choose to sort it descending, my indicator points down, which means I'll have the newest date on top and the oldest date on the bottom. And of course the same goes with any other group of columns. Let's try it again. If I wish to, I could go ahead and come over to the % complete column and choose to smallest on top. And that would give me the smallest completion percentage on top. If I choose then to go with the largest on top, notice my arrow changed, I would have the 100% and the lowest on the bottom. So that's how we sort. And there's two ways to turn that sort off. If I wish to stop sorting by the % complete column, I simply need to sort by another column. If I don't wish to sort, it's not permanent, I can go ahead and just go out of this list, do what I need to do someplace else, come back, and the list will be fine. There's no sort then applied. The other thing that is really useful in the drop-down lists is the summarized items. If I go to due date, notice that I have 6.3, 6.4, 6.7, and 6.9. That's a summarized list because if we look at the actual list itself, I have two 6.3s. So if I come down here and I choose 6.3, I'm going to see all of the items that match the summarized item I chose. And I know I'm filtering by this column because once again at the right-hand side I have an indicator that says I'm filtering. Now, it's different if you want to remove a filter. You can click on the drop-down list and simply clear the filter from the column name you're in our case, due date. And all of your items are returned. That's how we filter and sort items inside our list. So we've learned that you can filter items in a list and you can sort items in a list, but it's possible to do it much more efficiently by using what are referred to as views for your list. Let's go back into our task list. We're going to take a look. We've got several columns here. This one allows me to select the column. This tells me whether or not I have an attachment. This tells me what the type is, the title, the assigned to status, priority, due date, etc., etc., etc. Having to scroll over because I have completion notes. Well, I mention all of those for a reason, because I want you to see what happens when we come up here to all tasks. This is at the end of what we call the breadcrumb line. If I click on the Change View drop-down list, I see that I have this list of views. Well, apparently if I click on this, this will show me all the tasks that are due today, or all of the active tasks, or all of the tasks sorted by who they're assigned to. So I'm going to start up here and go with due today. Are there any tasks that are due today? Yes, I believe there's one, and I was right. It doesn't just tell me the task that's due today. It goes ahead and removes the due date and narrows down any columns I created to a title, assigned to, status, priority, percent complete, and any predecessors that might be in the list. This makes a clean, shorter, organized version or view of the list, because what it's done is gone ahead and filtered out all the items that didn't fit the criteria of due today. Let's try one more. Let's go to the by assigned to. This is a little simpler because really all it's doing is filtering and choosing a few basic columns. So it gets rid of the attached to and any other columns I might have out to the left-hand side. It gets rid of the one I created to the right-hand side. I've got title, assigned to, status, priority, due date, percent complete, and predecessors, and it's sorted by assigned to. So now I can go back up, and if I want to, I can go ahead and click on all tasks. Part of the fun of this is that you see it change right in front of you here. Now, there's another place that you can do this, and this is probably your easiest, but if I go to the list menu and I happen to be there, I can go ahead and choose from the current view drop-down list. I can choose any of the items we just chose. All tasks, my tasks, due today, etc. So whether you choose it in your list ribbon or in the breadcrumb line, these are predefined views for your list.
Now that you know how to create and use libraries and lists, let's see how you delete them. Under the Site Actions menu, select the Site Settings link, and then on the next screen, click on the Site Libraries and Lists link under the Site Administration section. Select the list or library you want to delete. In this example, we've chosen the list called Links. The next screen displays general settings and permissions and management links for the list we selected. Click on the Delete this list link. On the pop-up, click OK, and the list will be deleted. Now let's see how you can organize your list and library links that appear in the Quick Launch. After your list and libraries are created, you may want to reorder how they appear in the Quick Launch and or reorder the items that appear under each section. In the example on the left, you can see the libraries are not at the top of the Quick Launch bar, and the various libraries are listed in no particular order. The example on the right shows the Quick Launch with the library section at the top and the various libraries in it alphabetized. Since the libraries are the most often used items in this site, this new Quick Launch makes the site more user-friendly. So let's see how to reorganize a Quick Launch area. Under the Site Actions menu, go to Site Settings. On the next screen, under Look and Feel, click on the Quick Launch link. The next screen shows all items that appear in the Quick Launch area. At the top, click on the Change Order link. To change the order of the main headings in the Quick Launch, use the drop-down menus on the left. In this example, the main headings are Sites, Libraries, List, and Discussions. To change the order of items found under each heading, use the drop-down menus on the right. When you are finished, the Quick Launch area will reflect your changes. Remember, lists and libraries are the basic way you share information on your collaboration site, and there are many different ways you can control them. Use these links to learn more. For your convenience, a summary of each training module with links to additional online training and a quick reference guide can be found on the Battalion's collaboration homepage in the Quick Launch area.